Director, ladies and gentlemen, new ambassadors of Cyprus to the Russian Federation. I'm talking about those who have visited Cyprus. And dear friends, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for being here today and express my gratitude in particular to Rector Durkonev for his kind invitation. I have to admit that I am truly moved to be given the opportunity to address such an eclectic audience at an academic institution that represents the epitome of educational excellence in the field of international relations in the Russian Federation and proudly holds a plethora of awards and merits, boasting an outstanding record of alumni with pioneering positions in international decision-making. I have in the past visited the Russian Federation countless times, either in my capacity as a member of the parliament and president of my party, or on a personal level. However, this time, I'm deeply honored that my presence here today is part of my official visit to the Russian Federation upon the kind invitation of President Putin, with whom I have had the pleasure to hold very productive negotiations just yesterday. It will be an omission not to mention that I consider my visit to be a landmark in the development of our relations, since during yesterday's meeting, both sides have the opportunity to reaffirm our reciprocal political engagement to the same fundamental cause, deepening our cooperation and further solidifying the deep political, cultural, and religious links between our countries and peoples, which have proved from the period of the Soviet Union resilient, both through time and a number of different challenges. It is also well-known fact that Cyprus and Russia share a historic relationship characterized by sincere friendship and mutually beneficial collaborations, which we greatly value in the fields of economy, investments, trade and tourism, particularly in this time of steady economic recovery for Cyprus following the Eurogroup agreement of March 2014. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my gratitude to the Russian government and the State Duma, which only 2 days ago approved the restructuring of the loan granted to Cyprus, reflecting the sincerity, depth, and resilience of our relations. During my meetings with President Putin and Prime Minister Medvedev, as well as with the President of the State Duma, Mr. Narushkin, I had the opportunity to express in person and at the highest level our appreciation for this tangible show of support. At the same time, I cannot but express my satisfaction for the vote of confidence, trust and faith which the Russian people, in particular the vibrant Russian community residing in Cyprus, as well as the Russian business community, has been displaying to Cyprus and its economic and banking system. This is a most important demonstration of the principle of solidarity which has been characterizing our relations, and also proves that Cyprus and Russia continue to enjoy a mutually beneficial partnership which founded on concrete basis has a prosperous future, a partnership which both countries aim at further deepening and strengthening. Dear friends, the timing of my visit is proving in a tangible manner the importance that both countries attribute to further advancing their relations, taking also into account that currently we both face an economic and political situation of particular difficulty, while at the same time we are called to address and effectively contain a series of challenges in a very complicated international environment. Cyprus has from the very beginning been part of the core group of EU partners which, while upholding a position of principle on the matter of sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine and the respect of human rights of all its citizens, voiced support for productive dialogue with the Russian Federation and meaningful engagement in mediating effort to the de-escalation of the Ukrainian crisis. In this respect, by focusing on supporting mediation efforts, both via Normandy format and the OSCE trilateral contact group, we have engaged in exploring a political and long-lasting solution to the crisis through meaningful dialogue. And I am pleased to note that during my yesterday's meetings, especially with President Putin as well as with Prime Minister Medvedev, the consistent constructive approach of Cyprus has been appreciated by the Russian side, proving that the bilateral cooperation between Cyprus and Russia had withstood the regretful developments in EU-Russia relations. While notwithstanding the importance of focusing on the efforts to implement the Minsk agreements, the fundamental question which we all have to address is whether, despite the challenges involved, we are willing to shift the paradigm and take the big leap that will unleash our potential of long-term cooperation between the EU and Russia based on common interests and reciprocal benefits, or whether we will linger on a stalled strategic relationship. We are all called to assess the feasibility and desirability of a new framework in the vista of EU-Russia relations. We understand that the Eurasian Union is a factual reality. Long-term perspectives of collaboration on the tried and tested trilateral format of trade and energy between EU, Russia and Ukraine should provide a conducive framework of communication aiming at reducing tensions in EU-Russia relations. Excuse me. To this end, dear friends, our readiness to join our voice in support of the idea of bringing together representatives of the EU and the Eurasian Union for direct talks starting at the technical level is known. We hope that in the medium to long term, such communications will make possible the achievement of the common vision for a free trade zone from the Atlantic to Pacific. On the broader scale of the global agenda, substantive cooperation with regards to the Iran 3+3 format, the Middle East peace process, the situation in Syria, and addressing common challenges and asymmetric threats such as terrorism, all reinforce the argument in favor of a regular, conducive, and actually enhanced EU-Russia political dialogue. Likewise, visa liberation and sectoral dialogue are fundamental variables which can assist the deepening of our communication through people-to-people contacts and foster positive perception building. Naturally, we are very much hope that we are working towards this direction in order for the relations between EU and Russia soon to be restored to their active, strategic, interdependent and beneficial levels for both Russia and EU partners. Dear friends, a fundamental principle of international relations is the fact that the geopolitical role any country aspires to assume is a dynamic process, the evolution of which depends not only to its geographic location, but mainly on the volatility on the environment in which it operates, as well as to its foreign policy orientations and objectives, including the ways and means of implementing them. Geographically, Cyprus has the privilege to be at a crossing point between Europe, Asia, and Africa, to be a member state of the European Union at its most southern corner, and has been blessed, together with its neighbors, with the discovery of hydrocarbons. Unfortunately, the volatility of our historically turbulent neighborhood, as well as the ongoing division of our small island due to the Turkish invasion of 1974, has so far prevented us from fully utilizing our full potential. As such, Cyprus adopting a constructive, predictable and non-conflicting regional role is a primary objective of my government, and we have actively embarked on cultivating good relations with our neighbors and all those countries, like the Russian Federation, with whom we share a perceptive affinity as regards the vision of a stable, peaceful and prosperous Eastern Mediterranean, in line with our traditional principled stance on the need to international law. Further, Cyprus' strategic know-how of the region, in conjunction with the fact that we boast not to be burdened by hidden agendas, as we have been enjoying excellent relations with all countries in the region, offers the potential to our EU partners to use Cyprus as a facilitator, linking them to our partners in our immediate neighborhood and possibly beyond, in advancing towards greater energy security and broader economic security and stability. And this argument also applies to our relations with the Russian Federation. And this is something that we have on numerous occasions put forward to our EU partners. A recent example of the role that Cyprus can assume as an interconnecting bridge between Cyprus and North Africa, the Near and Middle East, is the trilateral partnership developed between Cyprus, Egypt and Greece, which resulted in the Cairo Declaration of November 2014. A historic declaration which reaffirms our shared objectives of promoting peace, stability, security and prosperity in the Eastern Mediterranean in all fields of cooperation, and in particular on energy cooperation, based on our mutual respect for international law and the principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations, including commitment to friendly relations, international peace and security, and respect for the sovereign equality of states. We are all well aware of the vast potentials and opportunities for cooperation in the Middle East, and it is for this exact reason that we have repeatedly called on all countries in our region who share our objectives to join our efforts to collectively address the complex challenges that Eastern Mediterranean is facing, and in particular exclusionist dogmas, xenophobia, extremism, and sectarianism. I had the opportunity to discuss these challenges in an open and very constructive manner with President Putin, who is in full support of our vision of mobilizing all our capabilities in order to effectively promote our common interests and values to the benefit of the peoples of our countries and of the whole region. The main guiding principle is that the mutual benefit is of much higher importance and collectively more rewarding compared to any singular benefit. After all, partnerships create common interests and form an integral part of political synergies. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that the Russian Federation is a traditional partner that systematically upholds a principled position on the Cyprus issue and actively supports our efforts for its resolution in full respect of the international legality is almost an understatement. That is exactly why, during my meeting with President Putin, I expressed the deep appreciation of the government and people of Cyprus for this indispensable support and the consistent backing of the Russian Federation as a permanent member of the Security Council to our cause for a lasting and viable solution of the Cyprus issue, as well as to the exercise of our sovereign rights within our exclusive economic zone. And I truly hope that this year will be the last one during which we witness the perpetuation of the unacceptable status quo that keeps our small island violently divided. In this respect, I wish that prevailing circumstances would allow me to concentrate on the progress underway in the negotiating process for reaching a settlement on the Cyprus problem, rather on the causes through Turkey's actions, which have led to an impasse on the talks between the two communities. I wish to remind that all of a sudden, on 3rd October 2014, and 6 days prior to the start of the new and substantive phase of the negotiating process, Turkey issued a NAVTEX through which it unlawfully designated and reserved a large area within the southern part of the exclusive economic zone of the Republic of Cyprus for seismic surveys in search of hydrocarbon reserves in violation of the sovereign rights of the Republic of Cyprus and of international law, including the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. And despite all efforts undertaken by interested stakeholders and parties concerned, Turkey renews its NAVTEX on 6 January 2015. The argument put forward that the NAVTEX was issued so as to protect the rights of the Turkish Cypriot is completely ungroundless, as it consciously ignores the fact that it has already been agreed that all of the natural resources after the solution belong to the federal state and that the central government manages those resources to the benefit of the two constituent states and all Cypriot citizens, Greek and Turkish Cypriots. As such, it's going without saying that the participation of our Turkish Cypriot compatriots on issues that relate to the management and exploitation of the natural wealth of the country requires the solution of the Cyprus problem on the basis of all that has been so far agreed. What is highly unfortunate is that hydrocarbons should not be a source of friction and cannot be allowed to be rendered as a disincentive for reaching a settlement on the Cyprus problem. To the contrary, the natural wealth is the most powerful incentive for a substantial dialogue, far from any threats or blackmail, in order to reach at the earliest possible a mutually acceptable settlement of the Cyprus problem benefiting both communities, Greek and Turkish Cypriots, but also all the countries in the region, including Turkey. On my own behalf, I want to assure you that I am deeply and sincerely committed to reaching a viable and lasting settlement that will address the concerns of both communities, as this is the duty I have undertaken towards all Cypriots. And that is why, for me, there is only plan A, that is, to reach a settlement of the Cyprus problem the soonest possible on the basis of what has been agreed as a compromise. That is, the revolution of the Republic of Cyprus into a bi-communal, bi-zonal federation with political equality as set out in the relevant Security Council resolutions and the high-level agreements, with a single sovereignty, a single international legal personality, and a single citizenship. And as discussed yesterday with the leadership of the Russian government, Russia has a role to play towards positively contributing to our efforts of reaching a solution. Cyprus is the common home of both Greek and Turkish Cypriots, and I call once more my Turkish Cypriot compatriots and Turkey to share my vision and assume their historic responsibilities in reunifying Cyprus and ensure the peaceful coexistence, socio-economic cooperation, joint collaboration, and the prosperity of all our people. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, the renowned Russian writer and philosopher Fyodor Dostoevsky so pertinently stated that if you want to overcome the whole world, overcome yourself. In other words, in order to overcome a difficulty and be effective, you have to think outside the box. And for that to happen, we have to engage in progressive thinking, not let our perspective shortcomings doom our future together. The pertinence of these wise words are still relevant. Be it on EU-Russia relations or the efforts to solve the Cyprus problem, I assure you that on our part, we will exert every effort to contributing to the courageous building of bridges, especially during these times of increasing challenges for the purpose of collective benefit. We consider this essential for the geographical and geopolitical stability and security of our wide region, in which the Russian Federation is an inseparable and obviously crucial part. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for this opportunity to share this vision with you. Thank you.